gentlemen,
Hey,
we are live. This is the amazing Christian Douglas. He is the creator. He is the head honcho. He is the Ayatollah of rock and rolla, or right. He is the man behind Unpopular Comics. There's an anthology right now going on.
you're giving me
Right?
too much credit.
What?
You're giving me too much credit. I'm just
No,
like,
no. It's my just part. See again. Part of my job, the way I look at it is, see, I should build all my guests up, because let's get the false humility bullshit aside for just a second.
yeah,
You're doing all right. It is super hard to make a book. I don't care what
yeah,
kind of book it is. It
that's
is.
for sure.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
most def.
yeah. It's no, it's super hard to make a book, and it takes a certain kind of character to start and finish it. Right? If
Yeah,
nothing else, you should get props for that. Right? You should
yeah,
legitimately get props for that. Right? Now,
yeah.
where it happens, where it
Business
goes,
work. Yeah, any business work, that's already a triumph on its own. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, 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 exactly. So
Okay.
I mean, I look at it like this. And this is, and maybe again, maybe I'm keeping this simplistic. The fact that you've already done that, that's already an incredible thing. And the fact that you had the heart to do this, and you did it with 20 other people,
Yeah,
which has its own. I mean, there are advantages to it for sure in terms,
yeah,
right? But there's also, that's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, man. Someone's got to be like, yeah, hey,
yeah, yeah. It's
right,
a
hey,
work.
yeah, yeah. So I mean,
Sure.
so
I
yeah,
work.
I'm not giving you too much credit saying all this. I'm actually being honest. Like, I look at it like this. You should take a moment sometimes and celebrate your little victories. The little victory is you have a Kickstarter that has launched. You're doing okay. You're busier than a bandit, right? And I mean, now you're part of the journey, part of the chase, part of the journey. Even if nothing else happens, don't get me wrong. I am rooting for you to succeed. I am rooting for you, all this other stuff. But even if nothing else happens, you've done pretty good already.
Yeah, I think so, man. Yeah, yeah. The thing is that we've been doing it already for almost 8 years. This is like a fourth. Yeah, I would like to say a fourth crowdfunding,
Mm-hmm.
and directly that have coordinated and be in the at the helm of it. But I've been also indirectly involved. I would say more than 10.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a learning curve for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
But it gets easier with time because then you get to have a team. You have to have people you trust, and you just start to delegate stuff. You still have to do a lot of the work for sure, but it gets easier with time. So I want to get that message to everybody out there because I think I was saying this in a past podcast. A friend of mine, it's not just make everybody can make one
Mm-hmm.
um, product. Well, not everybody, but it's easy the first one, but try to make two or three, four.
Oh yeah. No, like what you're talking about is a process,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right. And like all processes, right? There's a point with all of them that you have to be able to stay the course, and that's the hard part. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong. Even one book's hard. I'm not gonna go say that's an easy thing either. But okay, I want to do this. But a lot of people go like, okay, I want to do this. Okay, do you want to do this? Let's find out. Right. Let's see what kind of work you're going for, you're doing, and that's the thing, right? Like, that takes a certain kind of dedication, focus,
yeah.
right. So
I think it's as you mentioned, focus mainly and action, no? Because everybody has ideas. I always said that we all have ideas. Everybody, the only difference between uh, someone that had that idea, someone who made something, is that it's just that person started to make actions. First you
yeah,
learn how to do it, who you have to go through. Do you know people that have already done it? Can you learn from them? Can you follow them? Can you, because at the beginning it's just copy, That's even when I started writing this. We're talking about almost 30 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
You start writing, you just copy your favorite writer, your favorite poets, or your favorite short story writers, or your favorite playwriters, or whoever, because you don't have a style yet, you don't have a voice yet. So that gets with time, with practice, and with throwing papers out, and with new things, and doing then it just is the whole 10,000 hours rule thing is that's for sure. That's in everything. I think any endeavor in life doesn't have to be even artistic.
No.
If you want to be good at something, you have to put on the time, even if you have, because I will say that talent is overrated.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who have a lot more talent than me that just
don't do it.
They flew too close to the sun, and then got burned. Okay, I'm done with this. I'm gonna go back to whatever. And that's the thing, is it's consistency. It's a long game. You have, if you want to be in it, you have to be in the long run.
Yeah.
You have some left curves, and you're gonna have some down things and successes and some failures, but you keep at it. That's the thing. You need to keep chopping at that tree,
Well, yeah. I mean, there is something to be said. Like that's just how this works. There's something to be said about going out there and just doing it, right? That's just the way it is. Like there's something about that is very, very universally true, right? And in fact, you did it. I mean, it's on Kickstarter right now.
Yeah.
Right. It's on Kickstarter.
Last week. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and see, look at that. I'm a trained professional right there. See, you can see.
Yeah. Oh, it's easier. People can just type on the browser punkdroid.eu, that directly to the website. It's easier than, because I think with Kickstarter is a whole very thing. Yeah.
No. I again, I'm just gonna do it both ways, because some people like it this way.
That's the whole thing.
Right. Now, see, there we go.
Oh yeah, okay. I mean,
yeah,
that's why we did it, mainly because it's, especially when you are, and you know that some browsers, some like Instagram, some stuff, they don't like the big URL, so you have to do something shorter. And some people don't trust Bitly, so that's why we bought the domain, because we know how things are,
Oh, absolutely. No, I do. I totally get it. I totally get it. It's like, and also Punctroid does sound a lot than Kickstarter.com/blah blah blah /blah blah 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 blah. Right. I mean, there's something about that too. Right. I totally get
after it. After the Kickstarter finished, that's gonna be the page for the pre-sale. So it's all might be mapped out, hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully, crossing your fingers, right? Going,
fingers crossed.
Well, so I there's an old joke, right? There's an old joke. How do you make God laugh? And the answer is
fans, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's an old joke. It's a very old joke, but there is some truth to that. Yeah. This is what I want to do, and you kind of look up, and you're like, please, can I please do this? Yeah. Right.
No, it's true. The thing is that what you have to be. Because it's something I've seen it, as I mentioned before, with people a lot more talent than me. Oh, I want to be this, and they're never flexible. So I want to be an actress. I want to be an actor. I want to be a director. I want to be a blah blah blah. And they're never flexible with it. And life is not like that. Life is always gonna throw you curves, and it's gonna say, okay, but before you get there, you need to do this, and this. And people don't want to do all the medium steps. They want to go that. Okay, that's my goal. That's it. If I don't get that, I'm a failure. I'm blah blah blah. And it's no, dude. Life is gonna show you some workarounds, and eventually, if you stick with it, you're gonna get to that. But first, you have to do all these things around, Because I for example, I didn't ever think in my life I was gonna be a publisher of books. That was never like in my plans. When I was a teenager, I'm gonna publish books. No. I want to be a writer. I want to be this. I want to be an actor. Or whatever. I didn't thought about this. This has been chopping at the axe, chopping on the tree. Okay, I want to do that. I want to create stuff. Okay, let's try this. Okay, let's try that. Let's try that. And eventually, when you have your axe like very sharp and you know how to cut, then you start making dentures on the thing.
Okay. So I'll say it more like this. It's not that you know how to cut. It's just like suddenly I think this is what happens, right? Is you're doing something. This podcast was never planned. Like this is episode 946,
Yeah.
Christian. Right? It's 946. I did not plan this.
There you go.
It happened, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It happened. And I say it like that because I think the most important two lessons is sometimes you're gonna feel like when you're on this journey is like you're like if you're traveling, sometimes you feel like you're going down this weird spiral. Sometimes you'll go and you're looking like you're passing stuff and it's like I was here before. Why did I do it this way? And you question your sanity just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you're like and that is a perfectly normal response, ladies and gentlemen. It's a perfectly normal response because if I went in a spiral and I ended up in a very similar place, I would wonder if I did something wrong. I mean, that's perfectly normal.
Yeah.
But what happens is one day. This is what I don't think. I sometimes think what happens is you don't always know when you hit it.
Yeah, of course.
What happens is you're just doing your thing. You're doing your thing. You're doing your thing. And it's like you end up in this weird forest where you don't realize what you're doing anymore. And then one day you look up and you're looking around and you're like, holy shit, I did all this?
Yeah.
And that's really what it is.
Yeah.
It's right. There comes a point where you just realize that you have done all these different things. You have seen all these different things. And now it's like, oh my God, I did it. And you don't even believe it half the time because you're like,
Sure.
You might have done a while ago. Is what I'm saying? I know the spiral thing made sense to you.
Yeah, no. It's I always say that writers will have these small adventures. I would like to say from let's call everybody or everyday people. It's like we have this ability of extract ourselves out of any equation and look things from the outside. Because that's part of writing too. You need to you write about this character, you're right next to him, you're listening to him, but then you need a moment of, hey, let's pause this and let's look at the big picture. No, they call it world building or whatever you want to call it. Okay.
Yeah.
And because you need to know about all the rest. You focus on this, but you need to know all because that's gonna come in the story, or maybe you use it for something else. So you need to have this ability. And the good thing is that you can use that with your own life. So let me get out of here. So, okay, what is this guy doing? Okay, why, if you mentioned, why he's not achieving this? Okay, what happened? What did he learn? What you need to learn more about? Because that's another thing. I remember I have a friend of mine. He always told me that there are no for failures or success. It's just learning. Everything's about the path, learning and getting better and improving and getting. Everything is, and that's the best way to see it, because I've seen the other side too. When you get too much success, people go crazy and they believe that everything is fantastic.
Well, there's a momentum wave. This is how I kind of look at this. There's a momentum wave. Like the last little bit for me as a freelancer, I've hit a very interesting point. I am regularly getting work now. Right, that's been going that way since February. I'm not quite sure how I magically turned the corner, but I did. Right, I've been getting new jobs. So that's the job I did for you.
Yeah,
I'm making a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger tribute, like a mocker parody introduction, and I'm actually getting paid to do it. I start working on this when we're done, and I'm like, so wait. And I asked him, we're going for cheesy bad, right? He goes, yes. I'm like, I'm in.
Because that's the thing. But when you add it, my key. I go back to point number one. The key is consistency.
Absolutely.
If you keep doing it, people are gonna recognize you. And if I need to do it, I can contact Joshua because he's been doing it for. So you have
absolutely.
You create because a lot of people don't want to talk about this. In marketing, that's a brand. So people know that if they need something X, they can go to Y. That's how big companies are built. If people know, okay, if I need to ask something, I can go to who. If I need to buy something, I need to go to you know who. So all that takes years of doing it, people trusting you, getting good feedback, getting people, because that at the end of the day, you can have all the millions in the world in marketing, but if the thing that works the best is word to mouth, because that's what people trust, like number one, more than more than ads, more than advertisement, more than giving free stuff, is word to mouth. And not only that, is how you make them feel, because people will forget something they bought from you, but they'll never forget how you make them feel.
Absolutely.
Never. So if you make them feel good, if you make them feel, if you pay attention to them, to really listen to them, they love that. People crave over that, and because you see it from the other side of you, because that's how you are to be treated as a consumer. The same thing when they listen to your query, when you listen to, of course, when you're reasonable, obviously, when you listen to what you're saying, and pay attention, or when you did something in a book they like, and they say, oh, okay, so they really tap into this. So it's very important to listen to your audience,
which is huge. I was going to say before we go down, so I do agree with you, is here's the thing. It's not just my work knowledge, it's not my work skills, it's also I have a conscious desire to be better. It's a conscious desire, right? And I also have a conscious desire to keep learning. I find like the other big thing I've learned, like I've interviewed a lot of creative people, right? Now, again, we all have holes in our game. Doesn't matter who we are, we all have holes in our game, right? Now, smart people realize this and go, okay, what don't I do well? Because I find it's not so much at this point about it's about the work, but it's also about not putting your own roadblocks in front of you. That like you're not to make your journey harder, and you got to realize what those roadblocks absolutely are, right?
Yeah.
And they're all of us is different. All of us, it's absolutely
Sure.
a little bit different.
Sure.
But we all know they're there, and you recognize what they are. You try to hold yourself to a standard, like you said. Just like this sounds almost simplistic, but do your absolute best and know that you've done your absolute best. So you're not self-sabotaging yourself in some way in the process, because that's the other.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest killer in this business is self-sabotage.
I think that's one. Another one is trying to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
Because that only leads to burnout at the end, and no professional does everything by themselves. And that's and that is there because we have limited energy and limited time.
That's right.
So you need to because time management is very important in any business. So you need to know, okay, can I delegate this? Can this be done for somebody else? How much would it cost me to do it? Or how much, you know what I'm saying? If I do it, how many hours I'm gonna spend? Because those hours you're not doing it something else that you should be supposed to be doing. So
yes,
all that you need to really get into and analyze. So you really need to have a discipline, or say, okay, I start at, I don't know, 7, 8, whatever time, and I finish at whatever time. Okay, during those 8, 10, whatever, 12 hours, whatever you do. Okay, what am I most productive at? Okay, so this is more productive. Okay, what is the only thing, or one of the few things that I'm the only one that can do it? And then you concentrate on that. And then the rest you try to delegate, you try to space it out, you give it to somebody else. That's why I mentioned the team part before. That's very important, because that's something I see a lot in a lot of people, because I do consulting for Kickstarter, stuff like that. And that's a problem they all have. They say, okay, it's just me and my body, and that's it. And we try to do everything, and that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work in the medium term, in the long term. Maybe in the short term, you can hold it until you have some, and then you can start, paying people out. But you need to know that strategy is not sustainable. So you need to concentrate on whatever you do the best, and try to delegate and outsource, and because nobody can do everything. You don't see big CEO or even athletes. I remember that back in the day because I used to be a professor for many years. I have clients, students who were top athletes. They only work 4 hours a day. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Because they know that if they do more, they're not gonna be at the top of their game, and they want to have a life too. So then when they know that these are 4 hours of high speed concentration, the world doesn't exist in these 4 hours. So I'm only doing this. That's when they get the most. So I'll say, okay, so if these people do it, and they've been doing it for 20 years, and this is a science already. There have been countless studies about peak performance and flow, and it's a lot of, because the brain is the brain. We talk about what I said before. We cannot be suppose that we're gonna do 12 hours for best job every day. No, impossible. That's not gonna work. The only thing you're gonna get is get sick, and it's gonna be like a tap boiler, and then once it becomes explode because you overloaded with things. So it's very important that you have a path to start delegating.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I will go so far as to say, folks, when you're getting started, like you said, especially when you're getting started, and I know money isn't always where you need it to be when you're rolling. That's fine. Like, again, and for the first little bit, it is good to learn at least the process yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? It's good. It's good. But he's right. Ultimately, what's going to end up happening is if you don't find at least people in the community, wherever part of the world you're in, it's gonna kill you.
Yeah, of course. You need to have a scene. You need to have a support system. You need to have people who are doing similar things to you, so you can create so you get what I call the specialized feedback. So people who know exactly what you're talking about. You need to over explain everything. Oh, I have an issue with this, and they know what you're talking about. And it's very important that, especially at the beginning, you have to be surrounded by people who know a lot more than you do.
Yeah,
for sure.
I find if that's possible, you try to do that as much as possible, right? If it's possible, there comes a point in your field, that you realize that somehow you've become the expert.
Yeah,
and that's a weird moment where you're like, oh shit, I'm one of the people are going to. How did this happen? How did Yeah.
But you always have to stay humble. Always have to stay humble. Always have to listen. Always. I remember that one of the greatest example for me is the Stoics. You have Marcus Aurelius, who was the emperor of Rome, and he went to classes, and people were like, "What are you doing here, dude? You are the most powerful man that we know of on earth. You control the other half of the earth they didn't know existed. So what are you doing here with us, learning about this stuff?" He said, "No, I need this." So he stayed humble, say, I don't know everything. I'm not top of so I know how to do certain things, but I still want to learn. So it's very, very important that to be able to stay humble, read, pay attention to what everybody is doing, even if you are the expert, if you are top dog, because you need to know what's going on. And everything is changing. Art is changing, technology is changing, communication is changing constantly. So you need to be on the game, and and the only way to do it is stay humble and know that you have limitations, and that because that's the only way you're going to be a trusted source. When you say, I don't know, I will get back to you.
Yeah. No, I would go. I think that's probably the hardest balance. You got to be humble enough.
Yeah.
That you're again, that that again, if you're good at what you do, you very much realize what you don't know.
Yeah, of course.
But then at the same time, you need your ego to get you paid. This is the thing I've learned about this.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta have there's a balance of I'm humble, I'm good, but you still need to pay me, right? And you gotta kind of
use your expertise, your know-how. It's not so much your ego. It's like, hey, I know how to do this. I have a track record. You can look it up. And because sometimes it will happen that they will throw a curveball to you, and they will say, okay, what am I supposed to do here? And then you're gonna go, okay, no worries. I will find out, and you're gonna get it. No worries, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
So, but that's important to especially to not BS people and say, "Oh no, of course I know it all." No, no, nobody knows it all.
No BS people. I think this thing. I think you have to have enough confidence in your ability
Yeah,
to say you're worth something.
yeah, of course, of course.
And in that, this is why I tell people when it comes to ego. You have to have enough confidence in your abilities to say that you're worth something.
Yeah,
But not so much confidence that that you think you're all that. But yeah, and you've got to balance that accordingly, because sometimes a lot of people in the industry over here and writing over here, right, have a hard time thinking their work is worth something. There's a clip I posted up.
yeah,
Right.
true.
With so, and I had to actually show an author how telling the stories might be one of the most valuable skills on the
Yeah,
planet.
for sure.
Right.
It's
But she
highly
never
paid. If
saw
you do
that.
copywriting, for example, it's highly paid and highly six for. So it's
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's an ability not everybody has. You know, they're able to tell the story about a product, about a company, and you know, this is what we aim at. This is our motto, and this is what we started, what we do, how we do, what we do. That takes ability for sure, for sure, for sure.
Well, yeah. So like I said, there's a real, but even like any kind of storytelling structure, like video games still are highly sought after skilled people, script writers, like there's lots of storytelling jobs out there that do pay lucratively. I had a freelancer. I had a freelancer. Um, she's from your part of the world. She makes six figures, and the reason she makes that money is, again, she just knows she's how she put it this: when it comes to the work, be as humble as an artist. When it comes to business, right, be as bold as you possibly
Yeah,
can.
of course. No, I don't think one thing
Yeah.
erase the other one or eliminates the other one.
Oh no, it doesn't.
It's not a some 0-1 game. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this is and that's it. No. Hey,
Yeah.
it's just a couple of things you need to be able to work at the same time. You know, and they all there for a reason. Because I've seen also people who have a little bit of success and then you can't even talk.
Oh no, like there's a point I've seen it too, like where you think I am the shit. Now sometimes sometimes it's a game. Sometimes it's a game. I've seen actors, especially if you have a lot of fame, use that to push people away on purpose.
Yeah.
Because fame is a curse.
Yeah.
I actually truly believe that, right? Yeah. But there are some people, and you can feel it in the room. You're like, oh God, he's an asshole. And then once you have that, it's like, okay, if you're talented enough for a while, that'll buy you time.
Yeah.
But eventually.
No, but then one thing you're gonna do is kind of flop, and then people are gonna say, oh, I don't want to go work with these people again, this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, because I'm a pain in the ass. And of course, it's important that we go back to what I mentioned before. People will remember how you make them feel.
Absolutely.
They will never forget that. Oh, this guy, oof, or that girl, eek. Or the opposite. Oh, yeah, she's very. I love to work with her, with him, or with whoever, you know. And that's important because you never know because maybe the guy that you or the person that you have in front of in 5 years is a casting director or a person that can put you in some place that you want to be, and that person is going to remember you. Oh, this is the person that I deal with 3 years ago. Ugh, no. So it's very important, even for self-preservation. To be
well, no, it's the word you're looking for there is enlightened self-interest, ladies and gentlemen. Be connected. Be careful.
Yeah.
Feet you're stepped on, because they might be connected to the foot. Right, you're gonna have to deal with later, and
life is weird that way, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Today you're here, and in 3 months you're there, and in 3 years you know where you are, and we all spin. Especially if you stay in the business, people rotate, you know, and go places and get trials and get opportunities. So you never know. That's why I say I don't have any issues with anybody, and I try to be as friend with as much people as possible. because that's on my own self-interest.
Oh, sure. I just go like this. I've learned this. I'm going to be my authentic self, and I know I'm not going to be for everybody, but whoever is in front of me, whoever's in front of me, I try to treat how I want to be treated.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's literally one of the best pieces of advice you'll ever get in this life.
It's pretty simple if you think about it. Just treat them like you would like them to treat you. That's it. It's that easy.
Yeah, it is that easy, and some people can't believe it's that easy. And it's like, no, it really, really is that easy.
No,
right?
because sometimes what happens, what you mentioned before, ego gets in the way, and that's because that's a very beast that you have to be very careful about, all the time. Because I'm in this position with these people, whatever, and it's like, nope, don't do that like that. Don't do it like that, because you don't know how this person is going to be in 2 years, 3 years, and 10 years. So you don't know who you're going to be in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. So you better, be cool, be honest. As you mentioned before, be honest, don't lie. Hey, sorry, learn to say no with grace.
That's a good one too. That's a good one too.
Say, dude, sorry, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I cannot.
And the reason why you learn to say no publicly, because no is actually, this is something I think that takes a long time for people to register. No is actually kind.
Yeah.
Because you're basically you're letting people know that you're not wasting their time.
Yeah.
I can't do this. No, I don't want to. I can't do it. One or the other, right? And it really doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
But you actually went and took the time to say no to somebody. And when you do that, you're basically saying, I can't, thank you, right?
Yeah.
And lets everybody move on. It lets everybody move on.
The worst you can do is yes, but, or yes today and no in 3 months. That's the worst you can do to anybody, because you're wasting your time, the other person's time, and especially if you are within a team, you're wasting a lot of people's time.
Yeah.
The worst you can do. The worst you can do ever.
My least favorite is they say yes and then they disappear.
Yeah, that's another one.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
Yeah, that's the worst one. That is the absolute worst one, because
I mentioned being in this game a long time, so I know. That's why, for example, I normally when it's a long project, I only work with people that I know, that I've don't worked with them before, that I know they're reliable, stuff like that. Because that's, for me, the only thing I never forgive is somebody who make me waste my time, ever.
Yeah.
On purpose. I know. So something happened, life is life. But on purpose, or because he doesn't know or she doesn't know what she's doing. No. First, get your head straight, and then you can come back to me. But don't make. I'm not gonna teach you how to be or how to behave or how to work.
You don't have time.
Especially if you are charging me for a service, or if you're charging me for something. As you mentioned before, you need to know your worth, but that worth is also based on availability and professionalism, deliver on time, over promise. Under promise and over deliver. Always.
Yeah.
That's how you make customers into clients. And with time, this person promised me this, but he gave me a little bit more. No, it's be a lot, just on the top, like a cherry, and then they will remember, this guy, pretty cool. Or this girl, really pretty cool. Or this company, nice. Because they did this extra thing for me. It's not that expensive, but it's as a gesture, So, okay, fantastic. Then I'm happy. And I'm going to come back. And only that, I'm going to tell a lot of people, hey, these people are legit. And that's how you build up a business. It's by doing
absolutely.
Always.
Absolutely.
When somebody's not satisfied with something, listen to why they're not satisfied, because not everybody complains as a sport. There are some legitimate complaints. And you try to work with them, because they're gonna remember that. Because if you don't do that, they're gonna remember that you didn't pay any attention to them, and that's bad red for you. So you need to be pay attention to those all the time.
Absolutely. No, I mean, and this is just good business advice. At the end of the day, I mean, no matter what you do, you're in the customer service business.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether people realize it,
For sure.
whether realize it or not.
For
Right?
most deaf. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're delivering, you giving a product or you're giving a service. So you deal with, I would say more than customers, I would like to deal with clients. So in order to
Mhm. Oh
make a
yeah.
customer a client, they need to be satisfied and they need to be happy with whatever you're giving. Once you do that, you're gonna be in a fantastic position ahead of almost everybody else, because a lot of people don't care really. They say they care, but they don't really care because they have
Yeah.
a big part of the market already. They have little to none competitors, so they don't care. But when you are small, or you are indie, or you have a medium level company, that's where you chop up the big ones. Is doing what they
Yeah.
don't do, what the big ones don't do, because they don't care
Yeah.
anymore. They already have the market share, so why gonna spend more time? So
Yeah.
that's what you
Yeah.
take, because the people are more or less the same.
Yeah.
You don't because growing audience, growing more, that takes time and money. That's not done overnight. So the
No.
customers who buy X are the same. So the new ones are going to take 10, 20 years to come. So until then, you need to have a profitable business today. So in order to do that, what you do, you offer what your competitors cannot offer. So top of the line, as you mentioned, customer service, top of the line products, you deliver on time, you show up. If something happens, you explain, hey, this happened, the other thing happened, there was an issue. So we are honest about it. And
Accountability
yeah,
is huge.
yeah, correct. Yeah, it's,
Yeah. Shit happens. Shit happens.
of course.
And
Hey,
hell, shit happened today.
all
I
the
owned
time.
it.
All the
Yeah.
time. That's why insurance company have a business, because
Yeah.
things happen
Yeah.
that nobody can
Absolutely.
control. So
Yeah.
hey, just in case, have insurance just to cover a little bit, But that's why they have a business. If nothing happened, they will be out of business tomorrow, So, and that's the thing, because we don't know. So there's a big deal of certainty, certain things that we cannot control. So we need a backup. So, but that's not the norm. That shouldn't be the norm. That happens from time to time because whatever. But
Oh no. Yeah. Basically, like I said, anything can happen once,
yeah, exactly.
maybe twice. But after that, you're like, okay, I think this is a pattern,
Yeah, what's
right? So,
yeah,
yeah, right.
it's not an exception.
Yeah,
It's becoming like the norm. So no, I don't like it. Of course.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah, because we're all
exactly.
humans. We all make mistakes. Things are gonna go sideways. That's life.
That's
And
like,
even if everything goes as you plan, something happened. Happened with shipping or with customs. Things we don't really control. They're not in our control. Zero. So we need
yeah,
to know that that's maybe happens. So okay. So for example, in the crowdfunding, there's a 5%, 10% of the budget that's like unknown X, I would call it, because something always happens.
yeah, and 90% of the time it's usually shipping.
Yeah,
90% of the time,
shipping, or there's an issue with the printer, or there's an issue with customs, or there's an issue with who knows,
yeah, yeah,
So you need to prepare
and
for that.
yeah, and it inevitably happens, and you're like,
Yeah. Okay.
and you just look and you sigh, you just go, oh, really, right? And that's just it, right?
Yeah, but
Okay,
no,
and then
sometimes it doesn't happen. Okay, fantastic. Okay, I can use that for something else. But if it
well,
happens, you have it there.
at that point, I actually look up. Okay, you let me to this one.
Yeah.
What's coming? What's coming?
No, hey, sometimes nothing happens. Sometimes nothing happens. So okay,
Yeah.
mentioned before,
Oh,
it just, for example, one of my side gigs is a work investment. So that's one of the first. That's why the 6 month rule of saving, stuff like that. That's like a law, because
yeah.
if you're switching jobs, if they fire you tomorrow, if your car breaks down, if something happens that you cannot control, you cannot foresee because it's not up to you, you need to have something to land, until you regroup and change.
Oh,
You know?
well, absolutely. All right, and you have to be willing to adapt.
Yeah.
Like that's just it. Like I work for the hockey. We were talking off the thing. I work for a hockey team.
Yeah.
When as a side gig, it's not my main gig anymore. It's a side gig. Here's the thing. So on one hand, my major time has just come to an end because my team is not making the playoffs. This might actually be a blessing in disguise, though, for me because I've been regularly getting work.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, after this week, I mean, I'm still going to be working there for another month or so with playoffs, some of the other smaller organizations, but I'm not working the same degree as I did after this week.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm getting less hours, and that's not necessarily a bad thing for me, folks.
Just regroup.
Yeah, it's not even a regroup. I think at this point, I think it's just me going to be shifting more and more.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why,
right?
I go back to investment. One of the things we try to teach our clients is that in order to be what is called financially invulnerable, like nothing can happen, so you are like solid, is you need to have several stream of income. Have 6, 7, the more the merrier.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. No, it
if
is.
one goes out, you still have the other ones, and you have time to substitute that one with another one.
Yeah,
that's the beauty of it. So whatever happens, whatever crisis, banks, the government, the flood, the COVID, whatever, you can still survive. You're golden. You still, because nothing. It's impossible that you have like 6 or 7 cut out at the same time. It's impossible. If you only have one, you're a hijack. That person have you by the by the cojones. Okay, so
yeah.
So it's very important that you diversify. Very important.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And that's what I've done. I've been, like I said, I'm trying to do more freelancing and less of this for what I'm planning on doing next. And that's so for me, this is a logical transition. Yeah. Now once I get into like the end of May, I'll have more work. I'll have more work again. But I mean, in the interim, it's like this is the way it's gonna be, and I'm like, okay, this is the way it's gonna be. So now, while it's happening, I'm going to keep looking for work but not in the sense of looking for another job, looking for a freelance gig.
Yeah, or training.
Yeah, exactly.
Learning a new skill. So for example, that's something that I did during the pandemic. Is that, okay, I cannot go to convention to sell my books. So what do? Okay, I have to learn a new skill. So I have all the time in the world now. So I'm not just gonna sit down and cry and weep and make sorry for myself. I just, okay, I have this time. What can I do with this time? Okay, I can learn a new skill that's gonna help me to get where I want to go. So that's what you do.
So what did you learn?
I did some. I jumped back to animation. I did some.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I got my master's, and so I did my projects. I put out a lot of hours for that, and pays out. We used it for the campaign, part of the campaign animation that was involved in. So fun, good. You know what I'm saying? So you can always, and the beautiful thing about now, it doesn't necessarily need to cost you like a crazy amount of money. No. So you can do it on your time, on your own time. You pay attention. You have a syllabus, and you chop at it. And the thing is, you have to put in the time. That nobody can substitute. But the effort, you still need to. You need to still put the time. But the resources out there. The majority of the resources are already out there. You don't need to go crazy spending a lot of money on a degree, a lot of money in a master. You do it, because that's what whoever's gonna hire you, that's what they're gonna ask. Okay, what do you know how to do? And okay, you show him. Look, I have done all of this. You can see here, you can see here, you can see here, you can see here. And that's it. And I say, okay, this guy know how to do this, or she know how to do that, or whatever. Okay, that's what they want. They don't want a fancy diploma and say, I went here, and then you don't know anything about the business you were supposed to work in. Because that happens a lot.
Oh well, no. So here, there's a show I'm going to be watching for Sylvester Stallone has a show where he plays a mob boss,
Yeah, I love that. So the Tulsa King. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they say. So my favorite line, the one how he talks about it, it's like, here's the thing, no one cares what it says on your diploma. He says this, no one cares. Here's what people care. Here's what your boss cares about. He said he's going to look at your diploma and say, okay, for 4 years, you showed up on a regular basis to this place, and you also proved while you were here, because you got this diploma, that you could do reasonably competent work for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
Right. That is like what I just described, folks, is pretty much what every employer, every client is looking for. All of them. They don't care. They care what you know. Yes, I should say they do care a bit. But what they care more is, are you going to be there to do the job? That's it.
Are you gonna deliver? Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah, that's it. That's all they care about.
Yeah. But that's like part of portfolio, especially when you're in this business. That's the most important thing, is your portfolio.
Absolutely.
You can have a study in I don't know, a very prestigious university or this or whatever, the Institute of the MIT, whatever, on or you can go to NYU, for example. They have a very cinematography class, a degree.
Yeah.
That's not important. What's going to be important is, okay, I made this.
Yeah.
You can see it online, or you can see it here in this thing, or you can see it, or here's the tape, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or here are the drawings, or here are the X, or that's what, for example, that's something I've seen it with the books. Once you have a catalog, people start paying attention.
Yeah.
Because okay, this guy, this is not the first time he does this. The fifth, the sixth, the seventh, eighth, ninth. Okay, so he should at least people start giving you like the benefit of that. It looks like he knows a little bit what he's doing.
So yes. Although sometimes you look and you wonder too. I a fun story. I'm not going to name the person because this is like well-known published author is doing a re-release of one of his books. So he showed the original cover for it, which is okay. It's an old school cover. It's okay, right? Because it was released in an old school format. And then he showed what he planned to do for his new cover. And I looked at it. I said, I told him, if this was me. So I told him, this was me, I would take your old cover. I'd hire an artist. I say, okay, modernize this. Make this a modern version of this, right? This is still like, it was better than what he had. And his response to me was, well, I'm trying to spend as little as possible on this. And I'm like, and then I was a little mean, but it was also, I think, the truth. It's like, unfortunately, that shows. And if I noticed it, other people are going to notice it too.
Yeah. Go back to what I mentioned before. The audience is there already. And the thing is that today you are competing with millions of people doing things. Literally. Millions of people doing things. Fantastic things, wonderful things, crazy things.
Yes.
So why you bring to the table? Why I have to pay attention to you, but not pay attention to the other 900,000 people who do anything? And now with the AI, it's not going to be millions. It's going to be tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people who are going to do things.
Yeah.
So why you bring to the table?
Yeah.
Why I have to pay attention to you? So that's very important.
Yeah, and this is why, folks, I say what I say. I said earlier, doing the best you can with what you got. Now, again, depending on where you're at in the grand scheme of things, that's one thing. But on the other hand, if you especially be the standard you set for yourself is the standard you're going to have to follow the whole way. Otherwise, people are going to quietly look at you and go, why did you do this effort here but not here? Right? People are going to notice, right? And people are going to notice. It's something.
When you have those competitors, of course they're going to notice. They say, okay, so we have this that is fantastic, crazy, top of the line, and then I have your thing. Okay, and you ask me more or less the same price. Why am buying this if you're not to par to that?
Yeah,
it's like you're selling Ferraris and you want to charge people what a normal car costs. No, Doesn't make sense. So if you want to compete, you always say you have two business models. I would say that more or less. Both business fall into the both categories. You have exclusivity, quality, top of the line, crazy thing, which is you don't sell a lot every day, but once you sell, you are fantastic. You're good for years, months. Or that's like I would say that's that Ferrari model or the Tiffany's model, whatever you want to call it. Top of the line, and then you have the other model that's the supermarket that they sell a lot, but they don't make a lot of money on almost anything. There's a sense here, sense there, but of course there's a lot that compensate. So you need to choose which ones you're gonna be with time. I'm talking about on the long run. So you're gonna sell in bulk a lot, or you're gonna sell less but top of the line. And that's like, for example, in my business, and with the AI and all that, there's gonna be hundreds of people on the bottom competing for the top, for the cheap dollar, for the cheap client. They're not gonna be a lot of people on the top because that takes money, that takes time, that takes
investment,
expertise, and people are not gonna spend the extra if they're already surviving here. So I would say that there also is two ways of everything in life. You have the easy way and you have the correct one. Or the right one. And everybody knows. It's not like, hey, there's a mystery here. You know that there's a correct one, but you say, no, but this is easy. I'm gonna try this one. And that's the problem. So okay, fantastic. I would say the most people who choose the easy one, better, because they're not my competitors anymore. I'm not gonna
no. Again, self-sabotage. That's
it's not self-sabotage. It's just laziness. That's it. If I'm doing good, if I'm doing all right, and I don't do to go the extra mile. So what is my motivation to go the extra mile if I'm already doing good? You know what I'm saying?
No. That's the thing. But I would go so far as to say, Christian, I think that is the ultimate form of self-sabotage. When you're really successful, you have to find a way to stay driven. Because if you're not, what's going to happen is that momentum will occur. Now, again, you might delegate more things as you become more successful because, again, you have that ability to delegate more time, which is good. But, all right, you'll do some adjustments. But if you lose that spark to go, okay, how am I going to get better? Because really successful people. So I've interviewed like big #1 New York Times bestselling authors here, right? I've done it many, many times. First time you could say it was they might have been lucky. And getting noticed the way they did, sure. But to go constantly back to the top of the charts, there's a drive and a hunger and a joy. I would also add a joy, dare I say, to keep getting better. And what I've learned is getting success is I'm not going to say it's easy, but we all can slip on that. Like you said earlier, we all can slip on that banana peel and do it. But to maintain or exceed the levels, you must stay hungry. The moment you become lazy, you have already taken the first step off that ledge of that.
But some people like to like plateau, or say, okay,
oh sure, no.
But I'm done. I have my customers. I have my clients. I'm doing good. I'm making a lot of money. Why am I going to do the extra effort? So and I kind of understand it. I totally get it.
To a point. Like this is where I say this. To a point, we all kind of hit that a little bit. But again, if we're smart, we do realize this doesn't last forever either. So you have to. Again, you can change it up a little bit, but this is where I would say is you got to have that gut check. How did I get here? What do I do well?
Yeah.
And you have to find a way to keep yourself at least motivated enough.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go with that. Motivated enough that yes, you can enjoy that comfort a little bit, but not so much that when things shift around you, you're like, oh shit, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Right.
Of course. There's a very good series out there. You mentioned the tools again. There's one that is called Hacks. I don't know if you've seen it. And it's exactly about that. This is a very comfortable, top of the line comedian. She's been a comedian for decades and everybody knows her and she has all the money in the world. She has a company. She doesn't need to change. But she's saying, and she say, okay, I'm not as good as I used to be. Yes, I have my plateau. I have my people who know me, people who go to my shows, but I want to prove it. And she stay humble and she introduces the new person in her life who is totally different than her, who's gonna challenge her all the time, and that's how she grows. But that's not normal, eh? Especially when you have that kind of success. You don't want people to tell you that you should improve this, you should improve that. No, you have what there are a lot of stories about this, and it's a well-known fact. Nicolas Cage, they say, is like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's like, oh, I'm Nicolas Cage. I said, excuse me, what? And so there's a lot of that, and they have this entourage of people who feed on their ego, and then this becomes a whole thing that's bigger than them. And of course, they're never gonna stay humble. They're never gonna listen to any criticism whatsoever.
No.
So because they don't really need, because they already have the brand.
Yeah.
And the brand is always gonna sell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the thing is that, okay, do you want to, as you mentioned, to improve, to become something different, to be better? Or are you comfortable here?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are comfortable there.
So I guess the only way I would point that is, are you happy? I would say more important than this. Are you happy versus are you comfortable? Because if you're happy, like, yeah, I get it. Like if you're like, I am very happy where I'm at. I don't want to change where I'm at, and I want to just keep doing what I'm doing. Is a totally valid answer.
Yeah.
Right? There's that versus I don't need to do this. Like versus I don't need to do this, right?
Yeah.
I'm
comfortable.
Yeah. Right. So there's a difference. If you're happy, right, you are probably going to do what you can to maintain that happiness. You're going to be hungry enough to maintain it. But if you're comfortable, right, it can be a slope, right? And that's maybe I think the difference. But again, ultimately, folks, you're doing what you're doing at the end of the day to find some joy out there. So if you find your joy, don't far be it from me or anybody else to tell you what you, right? Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, good for you. Congrats and enjoy. You've earned it, right? But there's a difference between that and being comfortable where you're at. And most of us, I have 11 rules to success. I came up with the 11th rule with something you mentioned earlier. I say this, my 11th rule is be willing to learn anything, but realize that you can't do everything.
Yeah, of course.
That's the 11th. That's my 11th rule. My eighth rule is stay uncomfortable. So because it's the only way you grow.
Yeah,
so,
try new things and deal with and if you're already a big fish in this pool, jump to a bigger pool.
Exactly. No, absolutely. No, it's oh my God, yes. That's the
it's true. But that also takes a little bit of as you mentioned, hunger.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because there are some people say, okay, I'm good. And you can say, I'm happy. I don't want to more. You know, I'm good. My life situation have changed, and I don't want to keep grinding at this. I already did it. I already tried it. I was very good at it. I make a ton of money of it. So why? I'm not gonna just relax and enjoy the rest of my life.
And you know what? You're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
I don't. Again, I say this. I always say this. It's maybe one of the most important questions to ask yourself. Are you happy?
Yeah.
Right.
Really honest. Be honest with the answer.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people just fool themselves, and that's why you see a lot of so much frustration. It's true that the economic situation is bad, but I don't think it's been worse than 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years ago. The thing is that what happens is that a lot of people feel frustrated because they have been doing it for some time, 10 years, 20 years, you be in a job that you don't like, but you do it to pay the rent, or you do it to survive. And you say, but I'm not, this is not what I'm supposed to, I don't think I was brought here to do this. This is like 10% of my abilities, or 5%. And what about the other 95%? This is wasted. And that for me, and that's for me the biggest drama of that. And I would say loneliness. Those are the two biggest drama of today's society. Is that so much talent? I'm not talking about talent doing creative things, because talent can be anything.
Mhm.
Okay, I know people, because I was a chef for many years. I know people who can do crazy stuff with food, or whatever thing you love, man. Just go at it. Whatever it is. It doesn't need to be something creative. It can be whatever it is that you enjoy, as you mentioned, that it feels you, that you feel totally like in the zone. So if you ever feel like that in your life, that's your thing. Concentrate on that, because when you tap into that, that's gonna lead you places, man. Lead you places you never, and that's why you're supposed to be here, is to keep doing that, whatever it is, because everybody's different. Okay, and it's true that sometimes some people never risk to search for it because they're too afraid. And there's a beautiful speech about Jim Carrey about this, that life, you always have two main reasons behind every decision in your life. One is fear. You make decisions out of fear. So I need to keep this job. I need to take this, blah, blah, blah. I need to study this. I need to be fear. And love.
Hmm.
And when you follow the one, the love one is more scary, and I'm gonna get you,
Yeah.
and not easy. It's a lot more complicated than the other one, because the other one is the easy one, as I mentioned before, easy and correct, easy and right. So the love one is gonna be a lot more complicated. It's gonna take more time. It's gonna take more of you. But man, when you get it, that's it. You're set. You're done. Your soul is at peace. Your mind at peace, clarity, focus. So you find things that you never thought were possible, and you tap into that. And we're not talking about here about success, about fame, about making millions. No, there's nothing to do with that. It's you are doing what you're supposed to be doing since the beginning, and you see those signs through your life. The thing is that you don't pay attention to them, because you I would say that we are like those horses that have the ear things that they only see one way. So you are like, okay, I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to study. I'm supposed to get a job. And you forget about everything else. And so it's very important that from time to time, you as you mentioned before, you reflect yourself, not your wife, not your boss, not your parents, not whoever, you, because that is gonna give you. That's the when you really are going to grow like a human being. That's really growth. That's nothing to do with money, progress, fame. That's really inner growth, and that inner growth is gonna make you a better human being, a better person. And once you have all that, I would call it the oxygen mask metaphor. No, in the plane they say first put your mask on you before you help anybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the thing. So once you are in that position, you're gonna be able to help others.
Yes.
And
yes.
And that's why we all are here, is to tap into that. And once you are filled with that and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're going to be able to help others.
That's right. And then somehow you inspire them too. That's just the way.
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes. That's just how this works.
Yeah.
So we probably should talk about your Kickstarter at some point.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, important.
At some point. I've enjoyed our chat. I really have, but I also realized that you only have so much time, and we probably should mention at some point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, you are in the midst of a Kickstarter. It is Punctoid Volume 1. So talk about Punctoid. Yeah. So tell people about it.
It's a cyberpunk comic anthology of 13 stories. We have 23 creators, because some stories are mixed groups, like writer, penciler, and colorist, and all that are just one person does the whole thing. So we have complete groups of complete artists. So So that's why we have so many people, and then we have the cover artist, another person. So that's why we have a big gang. And the whole idea of this, because this was started a year and a half ago, when we because my main job, I'm working with IT, so I work with computers. I started seeing a lot of stuff scary that people are seeing now. Well, they're starting to see now. They haven't seen that the whole thing. It's just this is the tip of the iceberg. You know?
Oh yeah, I know.
The really tip of this is always said when people say, "Oh, AI is crazy." No, to start. Like when the internet started. You remember that? You know about this. I don't know if but you know when the internet was a modem and you have that. That's how it is. That's how it starts. So they don't have broadband. They don't have satellites yet. So sit down and watch what's gonna happen.
Oh,
it's gonna be crazy.
No. For like what's I just for fun, right? If people want to see some of the really crazy shit, sometimes DARPA will show you what it's working on a little bit. And now think about this: what they're showing you, they're way past that.
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, they're way past that.
Yeah.
But so yeah. I saw a robot, a fully not a humanoid-esque robot do a like a skateboard style backflip that I looked at and was like, that is crazy. That they made a robot that could walk, talk, do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And again, this stuff's not advertised yet, folks, because again, one of the other things too is they want to see how it impacts slowly. Because, okay, for example, like AI with art, they're going to wait and see now how courts decide how that's going to work.
No, not only that, how people are going to respond to it, because
both, right? Both. They're going to let people play with it, see what people. They're going to see what people see that they didn't expect, right? Then they're going to release more, and they're going to let people play. Again, you don't release in piecemeal, right? You release in piecemeal the whole of what's going on. And you just watch this growth and accumulation of knowledge coming into fruition to create a very different world than well, in some ways, a very different world than we've ever seen before. In some ways, the exact same world we've seen before, right? So, but it's fascinating because you although you question why they put their money into some of the things they've put into, sometimes you're like, why did you do this?
Of course, not all gonna be winners, eh?
Yeah. Why did they do this? It's amazing to see what truly is possible if you're willing to look.
So that's what's the main idea, you know. So okay, we have this, and we have all. So and most of the people who are in the Kickstarter are people that I already knew, that I want to work with, knew for years. Some people I normally work with them. So I say, hey guys, it's this theme. Run with it, you know. And then each group of creators, they have come with different take on it. Some went more into the Ghost in the Shell part. Another went more into Blade Runner. Another went more into Mad Max. Another went more into The Matrix. Another went more into other things. So everybody has run with it in a different way. All with the same theme, all with the same worries, all with the same thematic and tone. The tone is a Black Mirror tone, so it's like technology going wrong, but not in a big way. There are some stories that I don't know, some are more complicated than others, are more positive than others, and because it's something that happens to a singing convention. Normally, people who buy anthologies are parents for the kids, So this is not for little kids because they're not gonna understand a lot of the concepts, not because they're gonna see anything on the page that's gonna like scare them, but a lot of the concepts are not gonna get like zero. But it's not only for adults. So I would say that's like the Pixar model, like a good Pixar. Like the kids are gonna enjoy it, but the parents are gonna really enjoy it because they're gonna see a lot of things that the kid don't pay attention to. So that's the model, So we say that's 14 and up. So that's some even 12-year-old they can understand it. That depends on the kid a lot, But we kind of we went on the safe side just in case. And so it's a book for everybody who's interested and who likes science fiction and who like cyberpunk who like possible futures, because you have stories that come in the let's say close future, but then there are others like in 3,000 years. Like, hey, something happened, and then this is how the Earth evolved, or how this is how humanity, the civilization evolved. So you have all time of takes. You have things, the story that takes in space, stories that take place inside a machine. So you have all these kind of things, So that's the beauty of having an anthology, that you can like go to town.
So I'm going to ask this. Of all the runs that I'm not going to ask you to pick a favorite, because they might beat you. I'm not going to make you do that. But I will say this: which story surprised you the most, in a good way?
The one that surprised me the most when it was pitched to me, so a good friend of mine is Eric Calavera. It's a fantastic artist from Puerto Rico. Been working with everybody. He worked with Vertigo. He worked with Lucifer. So it's a guy that's been around for decades. And because I cannot say a lot of the story, because it's a twist that you don't see coming. And I say, okay, that's good, that's clever. I never thought of that. So kudos to you. That's one of the ones that surprised me the most. And because he start with something, and then you think it's about that, but it's not really about that, and then it's one of those reveals, in the last 2 pages, you're like, okay, damn, okay, that was a trip. And the thing is that with because most of the stories are 6 or 8, 10 pages, there are only two stories are 10 pages. The majority are like 6 and 8. So you need to be you need to condense what you want to say and do it quickly, especially with writers. We love to, go and talk about this and talk about the other thing. No, this, you need to go to the gist of it. And that's also fantastic for people who's reading it, because you can dedicate 10 minutes, half an hour, 2 hours. Well, probably not 2 hours, but 2 hours you read the whole book. But you can dedicate whatever time you have,
So actually, I'm going to ask, okay, so were you a big old school sci-fi short story magazine guy? I gotta ask.
More than magazine guy, I would say serious guy. I for example, I love, and I think the guy that created it was a master. Is the Twilight Zone.
Oh, Rod Sterling.
Yeah, Sterling is a genius. Because he wrote a lot of the chapter himself. So that guy was a genius. And I think that's because that's what generates everything else. That's what because we're talking about, I think it was the 40s or something like that. So that's a 60s. Long time ago, man.
60s for him. It was 60s. It was
television era. That's when he started, and then that's when all the creepies, Tale from the Crypt, all that came from that. There was some crime, my short stories, stuff like that, or cowboys and Indians and some superhero stuff. But he was one of the first guys. Hey, science fiction here.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, Twilight Zone. I mean, it's like every anthology. The really good ones stick. The really bad ones stick for different reasons. But yeah. I mean, right. But I mean, no. He inspired one of my favorite science fiction shows of all time is Babylon 5, and Jerry Michael Straczynski did a lot of there's a short story Twilight Zone book, right? Which is he adapted Serling's stories, which is always neat to see and find. So no, Twilight Zone had a huge impact on science fiction back in the day, and even although you don't feel it quite the same way today, I mean, yeah.
No, of course. Things have changed. The world has changed a lot, but yeah. Some of those stories still hold up until today. And
absolutely.
A lot of them are 80 years old or 70 years old.
Yeah,
and they still hold up because they are about something that is universal and has nothing to do with time, like isolation, like panic, like the fear of the other, so all those things that we still have, the common fears in our species. He just used the excuse of, okay, I'm gonna put it in space, I'm gonna put it here, and I'm gonna give it a little bit slightly of thriller, or a slightly thing of an element that is genre, but I don't really want to talk about this. I want to talk about this other thing, and I put it in this context, so make it more attractive, to people. That's genius. That's like,
Oh
hey,
no.
knock it out of the park, And of course, you have Lovecraft, you have a lot of people who've been doing it for even longer than him in the reading form. One of my favorite writers is Mary Shelley. She created science fiction, a woman in the 19th century.
Frankenstein.
After a bed, I know you know about the stories, a bed of writers, because she was the wife of Shelley, which is a very famous poet. And there was a bed that he had that Lombardius. It was a bunch of writers, they were hanging around, blah blah, drinking wine, and there was a party, and they, okay, let's come up with the best horror story that you can come up with.
Yep.
And it's always top of the line writers, like a Joe, like a Ben. And she came with Frankenstein.
Yes, she did.
So
that
time.
No, Mary Shelley. Mary Shelley is one of the big like without her, science fiction would be the original title. The original title for Frankenstein, ladies and gentlemen, is called The Modern Prometheus.
Yeah, exactly. No, and it came at exactly the right time, because it was the beginning of the industrial era, the beginning of the industrial revolution. A lot of things were changing, and people were really fearful of that technology.
Mm-hmm.
So, because it's similar to what's happening now, that
absolutely
we're gonna have a big leap. The world, nobody's gonna recognize the world in 20 years.
No, and that's good. I mean, and that's, I think, overall a good thing. I think I have hopes for where the future goes. Like I have hopes. I think we all do. I hope it's a gentler world myself. That's kind of what I'm hoping for, right? Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, I realize like anything else in life, when things change, things convulse and then evolve into a new form, and that's just, and then that's what we're seeing right now. I mean, the question is how and why, and like that again, we don't have another 2 hours to debate where that's likely going to end up. But what I will say to folks is, I mean, I tend to believe this, and I think a lot of people, I think a lot of science fiction people believe this more than anything else. The future is inherently a good thing. Right. And right. Even if the journey getting there is rough.
Yeah.
Right.
Course.
Yeah. The world will be a better place tomorrow than it is today.
Yeah. And because there's a lot of doom and gloom in the news, I would say people, you have to disconnect about that and go back and look at the numbers. So you have a lot of people have lived for poverty the last 50 years. A lot of people that have a job, they didn't have a job 10 years ago. And it's true, it's scary. It's very complicated to explain it to the person that loves their job. But hey, the world is getting better. Yeah. The world is getting better overall. There are some areas that are some distress, and some areas are doing better than others. But that's life,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But again, it's in relative to what is always the thing you got to ask yourself, right? So, like I said, personally, secretly, I hope our leadership changes. That's the biggest thing I hope for, right? Yeah, I think almost everybody's universal. And it's like we need to make some changes there.
Yeah. But leadership is a reflection of the people who vote for them.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I would say that politicians don't come from space.
Yeah. Oh no. I agree. I guess what I'm hoping for with the future, and then we'll wrap this up. I hope for a future in which people have more clarity with what they want, and realize, if I were to change one thing for the world, going back to what we earlier talked about, and tying it to this, if I could change one thing about the world, is, you mentioned this, I've mentioned this, people are incredibly talented, and they can do amazing things, and often do amazing things without realizing it. So my sincere hope, this is my sincere hope going into the future, is that people are more conscious of those things going forward.
Yeah.
So that they realize that they too are worth it. Because if they realize what they are worth, they will fight for what they're worth.
Yeah.
And that's
purpose in life. Yeah, that's key. Because a lot of frustration comes from there.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I'm doing this just for surviving. I hate it. I don't like it. Or even if I like it, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, because something that you feel inside, really inside, when you pay attention, when you calm out the noise and start with it, you feel, I shouldn't be doing this. This is not, I didn't came here to, I don't know, whatever occupation they're doing, because some people are meant to do that because they really enjoy it, they really like it. Fantastic. That's what you like with the measurement. You're happy with it? Wonderful. But if you're not, it's very important that, hey, you have a plan. So, okay, what if I'm really interested? Okay, it's this. Okay, so how am I going to get there? What step? Because it took me a while also. I didn't like, hey, it's like, I envy people that like 6 or 8 or 10 and they know exactly what they're going to do with the rest of their life.
Oh,
That's fantastic.
and
They have
also
a lot of time.
it's incredibly rare. And when you see it, I've seen it twice. Like this is like in my lifetime, I've seen it twice. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like you look at that and you go, oh wow. Right. Like,
Yeah,
oh wow.
I totally envy them. That's fantastic, dude. You see,
Yeah.
you save yourself a lot of suffering, a lot of wandering around, a lot of mistakes, a lot of painful lessons, and you're on the way. And the thing is that you still, I will go back again, you still need to do the work, but at least you know where is the path you're supposed to be going. And that's the key. That's the key.
Exactly. Well, good sir. I think we have an interview here. What do you think?
Yeah, well enough, I think.
Yeah. So
much clapping on my side.
yeah. So let's do it like this. Let's close the presentation out one last time. Talk about your anthology, where people can find it, and then I'll wrap up the show.
Very easy. Punkdroid.eu. Punkdroid as it sounds, punkdroid.eu. There you have it on the screen. So very easy. You find it on Kickstarter. We have pledges as low as $10. So you have, for example, today we roll up one of the first original pages. That's a fantastic price. Very, very nice. It's a unique piece. It's a page of something that's going to get published from a fantastic author, Spanish one that's going to go places, and you'll see the page is beautiful. It's a steal for the price that it has. So stuff like that, and you have a lot of surprise. You have stickers, you have postcards, you have not only the book. You have a lot of things. You have a beautiful sculpture done by 2 friends of mine who are fantastic professionals in their work. Pieces that you're not going to find anything anywhere else. And this is the time, because once the Kickstarter finishes, the majority of those things are not going to be available anywhere. So this is the time.
Alrighty.
To go and check it out. Punkdroid.eu, Kickstarter. We wait for you.
Alrighty. Well, folks, that will do it. As my there we go. As I lose control here, they gave me an award for this. They gave me an award for this, buddy. So first off, go to punkdroid.eu if you want to support the Kickstarter, right? And lastly, I close off by saying this: I offer an advertising services. I offer video, audio, words, and pictures for your projects and yourselves. You can definitely take a look at it right now. And that will do it, ladies and gentlemen, for today. I have a guest.
I recommend Joshua Services.
Thank you.
Very professional.
Yes. Thank you.
Low prices.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. That'll do it, ladies and gentlemen, for this episode. I will be doing Christopher Russell on Thursday. But for everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I'll see you guys next time.
Have a nice one. Thank you.